going under the grill today with Rachel. She's got a series of questions that she hasn't let me have a look at, and she's gonna test me.
See how it goes. Okay, so what has set you on the path to be a mindset coach?
A series of things, really. I think, without wanting to go into too much detail, there was a lot going on in my life at the time, and probably an element of maybe midlife crisis as well. But I just felt that there was a better way. Often with a lot of things, I've in areas where I've excelled, I've noticed where I'm different to others. In areas where other people have excelled, I've looked at them and it's like, what is it? Mm-hmm. But I've never really scratched beyond the surface of that. And then, as I say, within my own household, my own family, there were a number of difficulties, and I guess I felt pressed enough over a lengthy period of time that I would have to do something different in order for it to be different, or at least for me to be different within it. And really that was the catalyst for beginning to look below the scratch. Searching in, yeah. And as luck would have it, I would say luck, but the areas that I was looking in, I found people who really said things that kind of made sense to me, and the fact that it made sense to me made me more curious, and so I dug a little deeper, and then you find somebody else who's saying the kind of same thing, and then before you know it, you've got this network of people. And really, they're saying, despite all of the words, the essence of what they're saying is the same thing. Mm-hmm. And for me, what I found what they were saying was alarmingly simple. Okay. But of course, from where I was in life, to try to get down to that simplicity. It took a lot of work, and it took a long time really to, I guess, bend my mind to that, because first of all I could understand what they were saying, then I felt like I knew what they were saying, then I felt like I could see it in other people, but I wasn't changing. And it wasn't until, I don't know, a series of moments, I suppose, where I actually put into practice a number of these elements. Yeah. And the moment I started to do that, suddenly the landscape seemed to change, and how I think, the way I saw things and how things were affecting me kind of changed. So yeah, I would say, I can't say, I looked up, I saw a meteor and then flash and bang and everything changed, because it really wasn't like that. But it was in a human sense, it was a lot of those moments, really, where I think I felt like I was overwhelmed. I felt like I was absolutely trying my hardest, but it was such a hard hill to climb that I was having to cut too many parts of myself off to survive, and that was really beginning to hurt. Sleep was really being affected, work was really immense, home life was really tough, and all of a sudden I seemed to be stretched so thinly to try to keep all of the plates spinning, that I guess I was in fear of failing, and that on top of the pressure of just trying to keep all the plates spinning was what just triggered me to look. And the moment I started to look, then it was right there in front of me all the time. But of course I was so busy with life that I was missing all of the clues and all of the doorways. So yeah, I don't really know if that answers your question, but I kind of that's kind of the essence of what was going on.
So there's probably a lot of people that feel the same as that out there. So what is kind of something they could do every day to start them on the journey to feeling like their life is better?
Well, other than buying my book. I think number one, you have to recognise it, because I think, and I was this way for a very long time. It is the way it is. Yes, they're doing really well, but there's all these people equally who are doing really poorly, and I'm so much better than them. So I'm in the middle, and this is where I'm meant to be. You know, I'm not meant for more. And I think, like I say, I was there for, many years. You're grinding, you're trying to do better, so you're working harder. In all aspects, whether it's work, whether it's relationships, whether it's parenting, you're trying, but you're doing it from the point that you're at. And often enough that there's never quite enough money, there's never quite enough time, there's never quite enough feedback, there's never quite the weather. There's all of the reasons why it doesn't flow quite as you envision it and want it to go. And of course what you're doing in that is you're kind of validating yourself, because your voice says, oh, well, luck's not on your side, you'll never be able to do this, it's impossible. And equally, you're validating all of the people around you, because they're not seeing you make change and thrive, and there are moments, and everybody has moments, but it's rather like, and it's the British way, isn't it? You work 50 weeks a year to have 2 weeks off, and in that 2 weeks you go away and you're absolutely fucking exhausted. Yes, you take up 2 or 3 days of sun or wherever you go, or interest, but the rest of it is just kind of recovering, so that you can go another 50 weeks to do it again. And I mean, just saying it, hearing it, it's bananas.
It's no way to live, isn't it?
It is no way to live, but it's kind of how things have gotten. And of course, you look around all the time in the newspaper, or you're watching movies, and it's different for what appears to be so many people. But then when you look around, everyone is like you.
Yeah.
And because everyone is like you, or you perceive everyone is like you, just as stuck, just as poor, just as lacking in time, just as much aggravation in their life, that you accept it as how it is.
It's the expectation, isn't it, that is what life.
Yeah. So I think first of all, recognizing that what you have is because of what you do, and that's not to knock anybody, but if you do a little differently, you will have something a little different. And one of my favourite sayings, but often people don't quite see what it is that I'm saying, but if nothing changes, then nothing changes. So if you do the same thing the same way, you can't expect it to have a different outcome. If you have a bad day, you come home, you kick the cat, you throw your dinner in the bin, you can expect to have a poor night's sleep, you can expect for your relationships to run sour, you can expect tomorrow to be a tougher day. And these repetitive patterns, in whatever form they come, they are what make your day, your year, your existence. But if you just make a subtle change, maybe put your phone down You know, maybe don't pick your phone up in the morning until you get to work, or just something. Just do just a tiny habit, but make a change in your daily activity. It's a very small change, and then look at the end of the week. Look back and be brutally honest with yourself. How has that impacted my week? And it might be a negative impact. It might be a positive impact, but that change will bring about a change.
Yeah.
And so I would say, because everyone has different problems, everyone's coming from a different position, and it's very easy to say, you know, get up and be grateful for everything. But for some people, it's very hard to see what to actually be grateful for. So sometimes I think the easiest starting point is to just make a crazy subtle change, and go 7, 10, maybe 14 days, and then be brutally honest and look back and say how this week or this 2 weeks was different to the 2 weeks before. You know, maybe you have one less coffee, maybe stop at lunch and actually have a lunch break. You know, maybe you know, it's a silly little thing like that. You know, I mean, there's so many things that you can do. Ensure you're drinking enough water. So many people are dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, you get a foggy mind. You get in that position where your body is surviving. It isn't allowing you to see and do clearly. So there's lots of things that you see in the internet and things all day long, and coaches will tell you. One of the first things I will tell you if you're working with me is, you know, let's get that water intake up, because it's so important. But truthfully, for any person out there, just pick a subtle, small, silly change, but persevere with it every single day for a series of days, and then look back and see how that actually affected you. And I honestly guarantee you there will be an effect.
And how would you say someone could document that so that they can actually have something tangible? Well,
I mean, obviously depending on who they are and what they do, but the easy way is to either do a small diary journal. And when you tell people to journal, they're kind of thinking, oh my god, I've got to write pages. You really don't. But if at the start of the day or at the end of the day, for instance, you can start your day by journaling and simply writing down 2 or 3 things that you want to feel today. So you can start your day. Just today is going to be a great day. Today I'm going to get all of my must-dos done. You know, or at the end of the day, you know, what was the feeling that I carried most today? Today I was mostly frustrated. You know, and then the next question, why do you think that was? You know, well, because Bob at work is a complete prick, and he never does what I ask. But write it down, and it's fine. So, and then at the end of the week or at the end of 10 days, look back over those things and then see, because ideally, let's say for instance you started the day with what I want to achieve, and you finished the day with how did I feel, you'll begin to see a pattern. And that pattern might be that, you know, Bob is just a pain in the arse. But the truth of the matter is you will probably, at some point, if it's like Bob, at some point you're going to say, I'm going to cut Bob some slack tomorrow. You know, today I'm going to go easier on Bob. He's a struggle, but I'm going to be better. And then maybe at the end of that day, you can say, do you know what, actually, you know, it wasn't so bad today. You know, why? Because you've consciously noticed a pattern where you're just rubbing. You know, if you just rub, all that's going to happen is it's going to erode. It's going to erode you, it's going to erode them. So work out a way that you can work and play and make it beneficial, serving for you. So, you know, a little what my plan is, just 2 things, little what my plan is, and keep it simple, you know. I'm going to be energetic today, I'm going to be happy today, I'm going to say hello to as many people as I can today. Silly things, things that you don't think matter.
It doesn't have to be something complicated or something
big. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
No, you don't have to tackle your problem. All you have to do is look at something that you can control. You can control. Because we often get in situations where we don't feel that we have any control. You're in an office, you're being told that you're doing a bad job. Okay, you know, this happens. Sometimes we do a bad job. But there's nothing you can control saying hello and smiling to everybody you meet. Why not? It will make you feel better. It will make you feel awkward for the first few, but after a few days, it will make you feel better. And do you know what? Maybe 4 of those people, that might have made their day.
Yeah.
You know, it's silly things like that. That if you adopt these just crazy little changes about yourself, and then at the end of the day, you know, how did I feel? What was my main emotion today? My main emotion was frustration. My main emotion was procrastination. My main emotion was anger. My main emotion was I felt real joy because of the 19 people I said hello to, 14 of them said hello back. It's funny how things change us.
So it's the noticing of it that can then move you forwards.
Always, right? Always. When you see something, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
You know, but we kind of programmed ourselves because of the way we live and its human condition, is that what we see and remember is what was wrong. You know, if you can work on what you see and remember that was right, you will see more of that.
Okay.
You know, it's a focus element, but when you're a glass half full, when you see the glass and the glass is half full, right? All you see are half full glasses.
Yeah.
And you know, and what does that actually mean? The glass is half full. It means you're in lack. It means I haven't got a full glass. Yeah, it's all about what you haven't got. But if you can change your focus to, oh well, I've still got half a glass. You know, the environment hasn't changed, but you have changed in the environment.
How you feel about that.
How you feel about that. And because of that, you will then see, instead of seeing lack, what you don't have, you will begin to see what you could have, what might be, what could happen.
And what you do have.
Because
well.
what you do have, and that helps to build appreciation. And when, from a point of appreciation, of course, it's every cloud has a silver lining, right? It's a cloud. Oh, fuck, it's a cloud. But every cloud has a silver lining. It's how beautiful is that cloud? You know, oh, the grass needs water. You know, all of a sudden things become more palatable. You appreciate more of what you have, and when you appreciate more of what you have, you see more appreciation. You know, and as humans, there's nothing we thrive on more than a level of appreciation for one another. You know, so even when somebody's having a bad day, you can say, you know, hey, look, I'm not here to piss you off today, but you know, nice to see you today. That could change somebody's day.
So how do you go from being like, I know this, which is kind of that, to then embodying it and being, this is how I live?
Well, I mean, that's the tricky bit, right? Because you know, your brain is essentially 2 parts. You have the part that is unconscious. It's making your heart beat. It's making your lungs work in and out, and all of these elements. And then of course you have the prefrontal cortex, which is, if you like, it's your mind. It's the data center. It's the things that make you do and think and act. But it's important to remember that that's 5% of what you've got between your ears.
Is that all? Wow.
So, you know, you just think of that, right? You're driving your car down the motorway at 70 miles an hour, but you only are using 5% of your capacity to keep it straight and safe and.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Right? Yeah, it is crazy. It doesn't make sense, does it? But the rest of it is like autonomic. So obviously we don't make our heart beat. We don't make ourselves breathe. We can control our breathing, but we can't say, oh, I'm not going to breathe tomorrow. Well, you can, but you're dead, right? So it's in terms of knowing and doing. It's the toughest one, because so often people, because they know, it's like a cut off. They know up here, but they don't do what they know. But for instance, you know, you know a fire is hot. You know that from when you're a child. You know, your parents say, "Don't touch that; it's hot," and you go, "Oof!" Right? You don't go all through your life keep doing that.
No.
You know, you've learned the lesson. It's like, oh, there's a wire here, and it's like, yeah, don't fucking do that again. But what we create when we know something are almost those same wires where, and a great thing is recording yourself or looking in a mirror and doing an action that in your mind you know what you look like. You know I'm doing this. But when you record yourself doing it, you do not look like your mental image of what you're doing. You know, and I get that in the gym. When you go to the gym, you feel, people say, make sure you're doing the form right. Yeah. You feel like you're doing it right. When you record it and you look at yourself, you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, I'm completely, like look like a spider doing something. You know, my elbows are all over the place. Yeah. So again, it's that element of, you have to challenge yourself to actually do. You know, and again, that's where going back to the picking a habit, you know, because you've already decided that it is the way it is. My life is the way it is. I'm doing fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. You know, but make yourself do a small habit. Okay. Because then you'll see the change. Okay. And it's the same. It's really the same with everything. When somebody's telling you something, you go, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, I do that. Just then stop and have that little voice in your head say, do you? You know? Because it's like gratitude. When I first started doing it, I struggled immensely. I sat on the side of the bed and it was like, okay, be grateful for something, be grateful for something. And it was like my mind went,
yeah.
and that was a really, you know, it makes me feel sad to think about it and remember it. But you know, I'm a little bit ashamed of that because I have so much to be grateful for. You know, but start simple. You know, I woke up today. You know, why am I grateful for that? Because it's given me, call me out. It's given me the opportunity to. It's given me the chance to find new opportunities, the chance to be better, the chance to say hello to somebody that might need it, and. You know, and before you know it, I had to force myself. I had to force myself to be grateful because then tomorrow I wake up and I go, yeah, I'm grateful for waking up. And then all of a sudden gratitude is meaningless because I'm grateful for the same shit every day. Yeah. Right. Which I am, of course, but it's because I know. Yeah. I know and I'm not doing. Yeah. So I forced myself to be grateful for something different every day. Okay. And, you know, I'm grateful for waking up. Yep. I'm grateful for my family. Yep, yep. You know, I'm grateful that I've got a job. Yep, yep. After about 10 days, then it was like, now shit. Now I've really got to be grateful. You know, and but all of a sudden it then becomes just starts to become easier because your appreciation is beginning to unfold.
So it's growing.
It's within you. Whether it's I don't know if it's growing or whether you're just you're beginning to actually feel it and you're receiving it, you know. But then before you know, it's like, wow, I'm grateful because the sun's out. I'm grateful because my little dog looks at me every single day as if I'm the best person in the world, you know. And it's just it's amazing. Then all of a sudden, you flip from glass half empty to wow, I've got half a glass, you know. And suddenly your outlook unfolds and you notice the flower on the tree, the leaf, the grass, the speckle, and you know, all manner of things. You know, they just suddenly, it's as though life becomes alive in front of your face, more vibrant, and of course because of that, you're bringing that level of vibrancy into your day, and then all of a sudden, you know, the Bobs and these people, they feel it too. First of all, they're like, what's happened to you? You know, but after a while, you know, especially after a while when Because the beautiful thing about appreciation is it makes you consistent.
Yeah.
And look at I challenge everyone to look at themselves, look at the people around them. There is a very low level of consistency, right? I'm up, I'm down. I got what I wanted, I didn't get what I wanted. And that's how we are, because we're reactive to the environment around us. But when you get a little more appreciative of yourself, a little more, and another word for it is loving of yourself. But I think when you say love yourself, everyone sort of goes, But that's kind of what it is. When you begin to be appreciative, you begin to become appreciative of yourself in this.
Yeah.
And of course, because you see such wonderful things that you're appreciative of, it kind of encourages you to lift and be a little bit better, and like climb up the steps of being more worthy of the things that you actually have.
And then do you find if you're then feeling that, then it kind of ripples out to other people around you?
Absolutely. I think, you can go into, and I think this will everybody can recognise this. We've all gone into a bar or a home or an office, and it's like, ooh, you just feel the energy is like, well, shit's going to kick off in a minute, and either excites you or it's like, let's go, or you're with somebody and when it comes to the end of that meeting, you are drained. You are drained because your frequencies, your energy levels are so different. So and like they have the ability to almost like vampires suck the blood out of you.
Yeah.
So we all recognise that. We know it happens on the negative scale because we're all fantastic at noticing the negative. But if it's happening on the negative, it must be happening on the positive. So again, when you meet somebody and they say, "Hey, it's fantastic to see you," you might go, "What do they want?" But then after a while, when that consistency stays, and they go, "All right, yeah, it's really interesting. So tell me, how was this and how was that? And what are you doing? And really good. And I hope to see you again." When they leave and you're not drained, it's like, "What? Yeah, wow. Yeah, I wouldn't mind meeting them again."
Yeah.
It's different, isn't it?
Nice.
When you go to a shop and the poor person behind the counter is working on a minimum wage and they're doing this all damn day long, and people are like, "Oh, that's expensive. Oh." And then when somebody comes along and says, "Thank you, I hope you have a good day," you see it on the person's face. It's like, first of all, it's like a, what?
Yeah.
But then when the brain kind of catches up with what they've just heard, they go, "You too." Because we live for that. It's just that we suppress it under life. And bringing that back up is, what you're doing is, it costs nothing, does it? It costs nothing to be kind. All these sayings, there's so many sayings in the world, and we kind of lost what they actually mean.
Nice. So would you say that growth always has to be uncomfortable? I'm assuming not from what you've just said. Can it sometimes feel joyful, peaceful?
Yeah.
Exciting? Or...
I think, again, you have to kind of remember where you're coming from and where you're going to. And because of that, it's always uncomfortable. But the uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean like, whoa. Sometimes it's just like awkward. It's like when you first get on the dance floor and you're just a little bit, and it's like, oh. But then before you know it, it's like the music's moving you and you're off and you're running. And it's the same for everybody, right? But it's where you're coming from. If you don't go outside and you don't speak to somebody, going outside and saying hello is fucking hard. The hardest thing in the world. If you're constantly watching the news, being bombarded with how crap the world is, and then somebody phones you and says, "How are you?" You what? Because you're there. You've been drawn into the media of all that. It's chaos. And then when somebody's kind, it's like frightening. So I would say it is always uncomfortable, but it's not necessarily uncomfortable in that like hard way.
Okay.
It's uncomfortable, and all you need to just do is just lean into it just a little bit. And if you do, you see the reward. There's always a reflection of that. It might not be immediate, but there's always a reflection of that.
Okay. I've got one last question.
Okay.
If you could leave people with one truth about mindset, what would it be?
Oh, the truth about mindset. Wow. One truth about mindset. Well, the truth about mindset, and this is going to blow my business model, but the truth of mindset is that it is within you. Yeah, it's within you, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what label you have. You know, mindset is because I have my mind, you have your mind. How we set our mind is completely within us. You know, I can guide people to, you know, think. I like to say think more simplistically. You know, because I think life, you know, life is can be complicated, and it can make it feel like you're complicated. You are not complicated.
I think some people would disagree with you.
Yeah, they always do until they see.
Yeah.
But you, as in a person, a human, in this environment, you know, we are, you know, we love to say how different we are from one another.
Yeah.
Right, with all of these labels, with all of, I'm smart, he's dumb, you know, I'm tall, he's, you know, but when it comes down to the cells, you know, the trillions of cells that we have in each one of us, yes, our biology is complex, but our operation is alarmingly simple. You know, you can be swayed like that, right? We've all seen it, the hypnotist, sleep.
Yeah.
You know, and we're all suggestible to that. You know, we're completely suggestible to marketing. We're completely suggestible to TikTok and Instagram and these things. We're completely suggestible by the supermarkets. Yeah, everywhere, every life. You know, why? Because at our core, we are very, very simple. You know, we're born. You know, if you imagine we're a computer, we're born as a computer with nothing on it. Right, and then you install Windows, right? So we're off and we're breathing and eating and doing all of that stuff. But then everything else that's loaded on it is what we take in and how we interpret that.
So the stories that we tell ourselves are not necessarily
true.
No.
But they will set the pace of somebody's life. You know? And how many movies have you seen where there's twins and they're separated at birth, and one thrives and one's in the ghetto? You know, it was like in the 70s. That was pretty much every fucking movie, wasn't it? But it's true, right? You know why? Because they are identical twins, right? But they have their own minds. But biologically, and they look the same. So they should be the same, but they're not. You know why? Because of the influence, the stories that they've been fed and told and seen and made up from what they see. You know? And of course, is that true? Well, you know, it's valid, but is it true? No, it's not true. You know, when people say I can't, that's not true. It means I don't want to.
But the truth is, I can. Everyone can.
Everyone can. Yeah. I mean, now look, I'm in my 50s. It would be easy because people always throw at you, well, I can't be an astronaut. Well, the truth is you can. You know, Bezos and these characters now fly you to space. All you have to do is have a few million. So you can be an astronaut. So even the stupid things are now possible. You know, well, I haven't got 30 million. Yeah, but you can. You know, come up with something. Fucking, you know, you can. You know, so that's what it is. It's the stories that we tell ourselves are like a farmer's field. And, you know, that can be a dirt heap or it can be a grassy meadow, but they all have a boundary. Yeah? Because that's my land. But that's not true.
So you'd say, jump over the boundary.
Yeah, well, recognise it's not your land. You know, your land is as far as you can see and more. So the only guarantee of not achieving is not starting.
Okay.
And people don't start because they can't. Yeah. People try and fail all the time, but again, failure is not failing. It's learning how not to do it. So learn the lesson, pivot, fucking go again. Learn the lesson, pivot, fucking go again. And if you're relentless, you can only succeed. So that's the truth of mindset.
Yeah, love it. Thank you.
Pleasure. Nice talking with you.
You too.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was definitely on the spot. So, thank you.